I see myself as operating between two or three bodies of thought, and also see the post-colonial theorizing that I'm interested in as articulated in tension with particular traditions of understanding first world, third world relationships. That first body of thought that I see myself in tension with, and I see more broadly post-colonial theorizing in tension with, comes out of Marxism, comes out of neo-Marxist understandings of the relationship of the first to the third as some model of structural integration. That basically the third world countries are integrated into a larger political economy in which they occupy the periphery space with respect to a core. And I'm thinking here of Immanuel Wallerstein, I'm thinking here of, and his world systems theory, Immanuel Wallerstein, world systems theory. I'm thinking of people like Martin Carnoy and his notion of cultural imperialism, and all those traditions that come out of dependency theory that basically argue that the underdevelopment of third world countries is not an original state of affairs, it is an effect of the development of the first world. So you have this notion of structural integration, on equal patterns of trade, the creation in these societies of facsimiles of the first in terms of all their running institutions, their legal apparatuses, their cultural institutions, etc. What that formulation does is to marginalize the spaces of culture, ideology, and psyche that, when I talk about post-colonial aesthetics, will become really important. So that's to one side. To the other side is the tradition coming out of anthropology of cultural diffusion theories, the work of Malinowski, Evans Pritchard, and Radcliffe Brown, Margaret Mead, etc., that basically see energies generated out of the metropolitan centers to what would be seen as the periphery. And that ideas and institutions sort of move around in this kind of political, cultural space from a center to a periphery. Moral and ethical energies seem to operate in this linearity from first to third world, etc. And part of this is captured then in the third aspect of the critique that I'm identifying in modernization theory. The notion basically that at the end of a communicative chain exists the third world as a bastard text, a bastardized text of the first, and that its fortunes, its futures, etc., are tied to some wholesale absorption of the structures and forms, the forms of democratic order, the forms of economics in terms of capitalism and so forth, that their fate lies in the adaptation of an adoption of those elements of social, economic, political, and cultural organization. The third world, the post-colonial theorist then goes to culture, goes to ideology, goes to psyche, to talk about contradiction and to talk about agency as proceeding out of the hegemonic relationship between the first world and the third. And so that not all the energies are going in one direction from the first to the third, but direction is sort of both ways. Homi Bhabha, one of the leading postcolonial theorists, talks about looking back on the eye of power itself. And so you see within a particular cultural form the play of this tension, this dynamic, the work of mimicry, the work of irony. The point is that cultural reproduction, the arguments found in the work of people like Pierre Bourdieu, etc., that circle is never complete because of the differences, the tensions, the specificity, the historical contextualization, the historical patterns of incorporation that produce constant tension, constant problematics of simple absorption one way from first world to third world. And this brings us then to post-colonial aesthetics as sort of a concrete a concrete space in which the illustration of thinking about contradiction, thinking about center-periphery as actually a dynamic relationship of not things going in one direction but going in multiple directions with tensions and so forth. This brings us to post-colonial aesthetics, which will provide the illustration of this kind of constant negotiation, constant revision, constant reinvention that I want to point to and that I see as a wellspring for experimentation of knowledge in education and curriculum. That's the end point that I want to get to.